I want to make a bow drill fireboard. And you notice this piece is curved here. It's really too big. It's bigger than my thumb, so I wouldn't use it as a spindle for a bow drill. And I'm gonna score this area here. Now I could just carve all the way through this, but if this would be a really dense wood, you could just score it and then break it and get a nice even cut. So I want something long enough so when I put it underneath my foot, I can easily use that as a fireboard. So now that I've sawed that off, and you want to save all of your shavings when you construct something new, because this would be excellent material as a coal extender. So you don't want to get rid of that. I'm gonna take my knife. Now, with this knife, you've got to be real careful because it has that hook knife on it. You don't want to put your thumb on there. Not that that's sharp, but you want to be real careful. So you always want to carve away from yourself. I'm gonna flatten this out. And I'm gonna save these shavings as well. So a nice flat area so that I can put it on the ground without it rolling, and another flat area on the other side so that not only will it set down flat, but now I need another flat area on this side so that the spindle will have an area that I can make a divot in. So again, carving away from myself, and I want to save all of that material. So really important to save all that material that I carve, because that can be used as a coal extender and in the tinder bundle. So now what I'm going to do is, now that that's nice and flat, that I could put my foot here, so I'm going to make a divot right here in the center part. And you could carve that out with your knife just to tell where the spindle's going to go. I'm going to use this example without the spindle. All right, I really like to use a spindle, but this example will be without, just to give you some options. The reason I like to use a spindle is I want to get an idea of where the center of that divot's going to go. So right there is where I want to use the spindle when I make it. So I want my area that's going to collect the dust, I want it to be right in the center. So about a quarter of where that's going to go. So I'm going to bring that up. You notice I'm off there. That's okay. So now I'm going to come to the side. And I can correct that. That's the reason I like to go ahead and burn the spindle in to make the notch, because then you know exactly where the center is going to be. Now you want this shaped like a pizza wedge. You don't want to cut too far, so about a quarter of the way. If you go too deep into this, what's going to happen is when your spindle burns in, it's going to blow out the notch, meaning it's going to fall out the front part because it won't have any material here to support that notch area, and the spindle will burn right through. We don't want that. But the dust is going to collect here, build up. You want it in as a triangle so that as that dust builds, it gets to a narrow point. The spindle's over here spinning on top, and it's going to catch that little point of dust on fire. So it's going to create an ember there. And as it does, it'll build. And you just want to let it sit in there for a little bit so that it makes a nice big ember before you tap it and bring it out. So there's my fireboard. Another reason I like to keep these, especially if it's wet ground, is I can place this underneath so that as that dust builds, once that coal forms, I can take this off and then transport that to my tinder bundle. So this would be one of the most basic steps to create a fireboard. So next, I'm going to teach you how to use the spindle to burn into that and create a notch.